tell you the truth, I'm not even sure I know how they got up here. But it was a nice couple. They came in late last night and they're leaving this morning. They're going to be tilted downhill more than that.
Yeah, I guess so. Mm.
Someone asked, when do you brush your teeth or shave? Well, we usually just don't put it on video because it's kind of dull, but here you go. We're sitting here in a Napa Auto Parts parking lot hoping that they do repairs because we have a screw in our right front tire. They're not open for another 10 minutes. We've been waiting about a half an hour. And the nearest place, like tire place or something, is about 3.5 hours away to our south on our road. The leak is slow. I do have a small compressor, so I think we can make it, but I see a garage door at the other end of the place. I don't know if they can do a repair or if someone is here to work on a repair. But when they open, we will find out. We had an interesting time today. I keep looking at my tire pressure because I have a little gauge on the inside when I flip the things on the steering wheel. And my right tire pressure has gone from 37 to 31 over a period of a couple hundred miles. So I'm watching it, thinking, you know, gonna watch it. So we stopped the truck for a while to try to find out where the next campground is and so forth. And I get back in, and we've dropped down a couple pounds more, and that's not normal. I get out, look at the tire to see if I can see anything going on, and sitting there right on the top of it, I just roll to the right spot, is this. This is a screw with the Robertson or square head drive, and it's a type of screw that's commonly used in trailers. I see them all the time. I've got a lot of them in mine, but mine have a larger head. They're not as long, and it has a drill in the end. They're self-drilling. So I knew it wasn't mine, but it had been mine. So someone left me a screw for the tire. So it was in there really good, so it was an extremely slow leak. We're above Grossman's National Park in Canada, and I get on Google and I say, you know, automotive repair near me, and tried garage near me, and there is nothing. They give me one in Labrador, which is across the ocean. It gives me one in St. John's, which is, you know, 2 days drive away. But I passed about 1.5 miles back a Napa, just in the middle of nowhere, a big Napa store. So I go back, and it's about 12:30 in the afternoon. And there's a sign on the door, so out to lunch, be back at 1. So we sit there waiting with a tire slowly leaking air. And at 1 o'clock, guy drives up. What can I do for you? I said, I have a slow leak. Can you repair it? He says, sure, no time at all. So their mechanic, they actually have a small mechanic's bay there. Drives up and has me roll the screw to the top of the tire and turn my wheels out. In 5 minutes or less, it's fixed. I've got air in the tire. I pay my $23 Canadian, and we're off. So, a potentially bad situation, because we've had things like this happen, on a Friday evening when nothing's open on the weekend, or in the evening where you have to wait till the next day. The next day the tire might be flat, or someplace where the nearest place was 300 miles away. And granted, I did have a small compressor, so I could have kept blowing it up a little bit, but what a pain that would have been. So we picked up a screw, and as a result, we almost got screwed, but we didn't. So we lucked out. Happy ending. After 60,000 miles and 8 years, this is the first time I've come across this. No 110 volt plug. Amazingly, after 13 years, I found this adapter which I bought way back and never used even once. This is the first time. I bought it thinking I'd always need it, and I never did until now. Instant coffee. For those of you old enough, do you remember when it was in everybody's cupboard and used regularly? Here you go.
Thank you. Coffee. Yay.
Well, it's evening, and we've come back down a little ways from the northern tip of Newfoundland, and we've ended up back at one of the same campgrounds we're in, and we're in Grossmann's National Park now. It's Shallow Bay. If you watch a previous video, we went out on a boardwalk to this bay in the ocean. This is where we are. We're at a different campsite, though. This is one that's more in a field because it has electricity. We wanted to plug in tonight, charge a battery. I wanted to use the microwave so that we can just get kind of like geared up for the next leg of the journey. We'll be going east now over towards St. John's, and then in the upper end of that peninsula to see what's up there. 8 days ago, Joyce and I celebrated, or I guess more recognized, our 43rd wedding anniversary. It's been a long time. I tell her it's been a long time to have to be with me. She laughs, but sometimes I wonder. We met back in 1976. I was a junior in college, and I was up taking a guitar making class in Camden, Maine. And she lived about 70 miles up the road, and I had had an open invitation from having met her quite a ways back at a function. So, I had her address, so I took a drive up. No cell phones then, so I just took a drive up, and she was outside painting the house with her dad. And we kind of, went out to lunch from there and spent the evening together. And at that point, I kind of knew, I was like, uh-oh. And I kept going up, which was interesting because where I lived, normally she lived 180 miles away. So you talk about long distance relationships. I put a lot of miles on an old Chevy Chevelle, a lot of miles over a period of a few years, because you see, we really had about a 4-year courtship. I was in college, I was a junior, and I needed to finish up, and I needed to get established teaching, because teaching jobs were not easy to come by at that time. And I got a job out of state in New Hampshire. And in 2 years, I managed to find a place in Maine, very close to my hometown, and within easy commuting distance. So we got married in 1980, and we rented for a short while. And in April, because I had started school in September, so the following April, we started to build a house. And I mean, we built our own house. Joyce, myself, and my older brother, who was the brains of the group. He kind of had been there, done that. He knew the ropes. April, May, June. In June, we moved in. It wasn't finished. It was a shell that was enclosed. It had water. It had a toilet. It had electricity. It was sheetrocked, not painted, and we had a mattress on the floor. And we saved rent, and we moved in. And it took us nearly 4 years to really complete it, because the expensive part of a house is really on the inside. And we did it paycheck by paycheck, and eventually we finished it. We lived there for quite a while. We had 2 daughters and brought the girls up there. When they were in mid to late high school, we eventually moved to the lake, which was the old family camp that had been converted to a year-round home after we inherited it. And we've been there ever since. And the house we built has been rented for like 15 years now or more, to the same people, which is great. They're good tenants. But Joyce has been the best thing I have ever done. She is, when people get to know her, you have to get to know her. She is the most wonderful person I have ever met. And I know I'm biased, but she makes me shake my head, and she's sweet, and she's can get aggravated at herself usually sometimes, and it's interesting to watch. I feel like it's my thing to just make sure that she goes through life and has a decent life, and I've been trying to succeed at doing that for a long time. And we've had a good life. It's been very good. We got no complaints at all. And now I traipse her all over creation. You know, grand total 50 or 60,000 miles between 2 campers in the last 13 years. And she's always game, and I try to make it as good as I can for her, but she holds up her end too. Never complains, ready to go, and we have a good time. I really have a good time with her. So, 43rd anniversary. I have known her for 47 years, and hopefully there'll be a few more to come.